students learn, help them achieve more. That's fascinating to me, so I'd love to hear that story. And I also want to hear the set of challenges that this state and this district faces financially. And I will say, big picture, I'm extraordinarily concerned about potentially massive layoffs of teachers going into this next school year. And that is horrible for children, that is horrible for adults, it's horrible for education, it's horrible for the economy. And I just don't think we can afford, we're trying to get dramatically better, I don't think we can afford to take a step backwards. And where you see class size skyrocketing, we have a number of districts now talking about reducing or eliminating summer school. We know how critically important summer school is, particularly for disadvantaged children. We see extracurriculars being eliminated. We see schools going to 4-day weeks rather than 5. We need more time, not less. None of that is good for education. None of that is good for children. And so we're pushing very, very hard, as Paul said, on this Harkin-Miller-Obey bill that I think would help us stave off an education catastrophe. And we're urging Congress to act and to act swiftly. This is not something that can be done in September, October. Any superintendent for this fall now is doing their planning for the summer. That's late now. We're planning for the fall. And we need to move with a real sense of urgency. And so I'd love to get some sense of what the challenges this community would face if that doesn't happen, and the upside if it does. Now, I'll tell you, as I've traveled across the country, urban, rural, suburban, everybody is struggling. Everybody's facing these challenges. And I think we need the political leadership to sort of wake up and understand the opportunity we have. We were thrilled to help last year with the Recovery Act. That was a huge step in the right direction. And that money was spent wisely, it was spent with integrity, it was basically no scandals about silly stuff going on. But that money is largely spent. And we saved conservatively a couple 100,000 teacher jobs last year. And we don't want to see all that reversed.
It's a great, I think, expression of partnership that we're celebrating here today. I want to congratulate this community, in particular Superintendent Dakin, on, every movement has its vanguard. And we put up in this legislation an approach to doing innovation within public school systems that was a set of proposals on which we built from the pilot school experience in Boston, on the Horace Mann School experience statewide, and tried to challenge our school systems statewide to work differently with their various partners inside schools and to make available the kinds of autonomies that historically we associate with charter schools, make those available within mainstream school systems.
To the credit of the teacher union in the collaboration, we have 2 expanded learning time schools and now an innovation school. Out of our 11 schools in the district, they've moved ahead and forged a different way of doing business as traditional urban public school educators. And I think they've done that because they've embraced the tenets that children first is the most important concept.
If these types of events are possible when union and management have a common vision for the district. Not always on the same page, but as long as we know where we want to go, and every teacher in this audience knows that Dr. Dakin is a visionary. We all acknowledge it. My admonition to him, the devil is in the details. And I'm here to remind him this 500 details.
This isn't work. This comes from a place of thinking about things differently. And I know that Paul and Susan kind of work hand in hand, and I think this demonstrates that. But a challenge is creating the conditions under which district and labor leaders within schools can actually trust each other, talk to each other meaningfully about student achievement, think about time differently, think about the way we do things differently. And I don't think that there's enough attention paid to the value of true collaboration and the hard work that it takes to get there.
I wish every local in Massachusetts had a superintendent like Superintendent Dakin and a president like Susan, and because they're a living example, and a principal like Barbara Kelly. I mean, what can happen? And frankly, the leadership of our secretary and commissioner and working on collaboration, because it was a new concept for us in the state. But I do want to say, too, that a lot of times I think in the public, teacher unions are misrepresented because all we are is people like Marguerite and Susan who come together. And the difference for us as a union is we're like split right down the middle. We care as much about our students as we do our members. And and if you really think about when you were talking about that wheel, when you put the student at the center, really a student's learning conditions are the same as a teacher's working conditions. And when there is respect and trust in the place, you can always, I think, find solutions that work. So we are very excited about it, and I do feel we are #1 in the country, but we also do have the achievement gap. So I always feel if any group in this country can close that gap, it'll be here in this state with people like this mayor, superintendent, school committee, who I met earlier, the whole group, if we can do it, and if we're given the resources and the time, I really am hopeful that we will be successful.
But there's no one here is complacent. No one's saying we got it all figured out. And I think we said it's really profound. Massachusetts has a chance to shape this dialogue nationally. It has been. I think it has even a greater leadership role. So I just want folks in the room and on the panel to know that what's happening in this school, in this district, in this state, I think has huge implications for the country. And I agree with you. I wouldn't just say it here because I'm here. I think anyone's going to fundamentally change that and challenge that status quo. I don't know of a better state that has an opportunity than Massachusetts. And then if you guys can do it, then it helps to demonstrate to the country it's possible. That's a big, big deal for me going forward. We need proof points of success. And this place has a chance, I think, to challenge the country increasingly.
And I agree with everything that's been said. And one thing that I think you and the Secretary and President and Governor and some of the other spokespeople out here in the audience could do is help us change the tenor and tone of the conversation. Quite honestly, the things that are reported as the headlines and the editorials set us back. Every time Ann and I and Kathy and Susan and people like us step forward and start talking about things out of the box and thinking about new ways to do things, there's an op-ed, there's a headline that sends people looking for shelter and concerns, and that helps undermine the trust they're trying to build. So anything you do to help us with the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal.
I hear helping them too. I see collaboration. I see places that are less collaboration, dysfunction. Like I said too, I've never heard someone say that they got their blindside. That's a profound thing to be said. It's one thing to collaborate. It's one thing to work together. It's another thing to say, the metaphor there is, I got your back when guys are coming after you. That doesn't happen too many places. And to have you feel that about him, and I'm assuming he feels that way about you, that's at a whole different level than I normally see. And that's a pretty moving thing to be said. But thanks, guys, for the hard work. Thank you for the model, and know that the eyes of the country on what you're doing. Implementation is huge. That will be on paper, but you have a chance to do something pretty special. So thanks to all of you.